Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's Dave and Johnny live. I am Dave. He's Johnny. What's up, Johnny?
What's up, Dave?
How you doing,
I'm
man?
well. It's nice. This is my
Yeah.
third time now talking to a real person again this week. It's good. It's fun to do this.
Third time?
Well, I saw you already this week, right? You dropped off the Manscaped. Thank you for the Manscaped.
Yes,
And I
Manscaped.
saw AJ as well.
Oh, you saw AJ because he dropped off a T-shirt that was too small for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, but we will get you the right size T-shirt. We just made us an error. We were supposed to give your shirt to Fred and Fred's shirt to you. Fred got the wrong shirt. Fred's shirt is too big. Your shirt is too small. We'll figure it out. When you put AJ and I in charge of sending stuff out, I guess we screw up. We're not that good at it. AJ and I were in charge of that. AJ wanted to put all the blame on me. I'm going to take some of the blame, but I'm also going to give some of the blame to AJ. I'm not fully at fault for that.
Yeah, I know. He completely blamed you at the time. I heard about that.
That's
unfair. But at least I
unfair.
got the shirt, though. I got this shirt, and this shirt's fantastic. I also tried the boxers, too, after I did the manscaping as well. Fantastic. Those boxers are great.
Yes, they are very soft. I've tried them on as well. Really nice.
And like for the price that you get for that, I think it's like $7.99 for the whole kit. That's amazing. Like I paid double that.
How much for the whole kit?
I think it's like $79.99.
That's a fantastic deal.
So
yeah. And you know
and
what?
you get our discount.
Yeah, and you can get a discount. So $79.99 for the whole kit, which is like all this stuff, the crop preserver ball deodorant, the Manscaped ball toner reviver. You've got the 3.0 lawn mower right here. Ba-boom. Johnny North is loving his. You get the whole kit, the T-shirt, the toiletry bag. It's a really nice kit. We all got one. And for $79.99, minus 20% off if you use the promo code Ringside20 plus free shipping. The shipping is free. So this is a really tremendous deal that you're getting here through the Ringside Report universe, through Dave and Johnny Live, through Wrestling Uncensored, through Ringside Report MMA. You go to manscaped.com, use the promo code Ringside20 for 20% off your Manscaped. We all got the Manscaped package, and we're loving it. I was super impressed.
Just a note though that it's only the 2.0 right now. You can't get the 3.0 I think until the summertime.
In Canada.
So it's in Canada. But I already use a 2.0 and 2.0 is fantastic too. Like I get right down to my balls, so it's really good.
Fantastic. Johnny North getting that close shave that he needs. And I'm seeing Freddie is on the chat right now. I'm seeing AJ is on the chat right now. Andy Burrows out in England on the chat right now. Can't believe what AEW did with Mike Tyson. We're going to talk about Mike Tyson and AEW a little bit more on Wrestling Uncensored. Today on the show, we're going to talk about Dark Side of the Ring and some of the dark stories in professional wrestling that we would like to see covered on the third season of the documentary series, and it will have a third season. Vice saying it was their most popular show ever on Viceland, and Dark Side of the Ring will have a season 3, and we gave you a little bit of a spoiler with the image for this show. If you see the thumbnail on YouTube, those are 3 of my suggestions. I think Luna Vachon, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Yokozuna, right off the bat, would make terrific episodes of Dark Side of the Ring. Bam Bam Bigelow died at the age of 45 in 2007, and according to Bret Hart in his book, he died like living in his car, penniless. This is one of the biggest stars in his era in professional wrestling, one of the best big men out there. Bam Bam Bigelow was a major star, and a lot of people that watch wrestling today don't really know who Bam Bam Bigelow is. You think about guys that died young, Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, that seems to be a good starting point for a Dark Side of the Ring, right? We saw this season, they covered Road Warriors, and it was mostly because, Hawk had a big career and he died young. Well, there are a lot of wrestlers that had big careers and died young, right, Johnny? A lot of them. And I'm sure you have some suggestions, too. I want to hear your suggestions. My list is massive of the amount of stories that they could do for Dark Side of the Ring. Yokozuna died at 34 in 2000. He was like 800 pounds, maybe 900 pounds when he died. When he was in his wrestling prime, he was like 500 to 600 pounds, moving around really well. Rodney Anoa'i, a member of the legendary Anoa'i wrestling family. Of course, Roman Reigns part of that family. The Rock part of that family. A lot of great professional wrestlers part of the Anoa'i family. Yokozuna, a WWF champion, a legend of the game, a WWE Hall of Famer, died at 34. That's dark. You talk about how big of a star this guy was in my childhood, your childhood, Johnny North. I mean, who was Bret Hart's biggest foe, biggest opposition? They worked 2 straight WrestleManias against each other, 9 and 10. Yokozuna. He deserves a dark side of the ring. I want to know more about what happened. Like, what happened? He was like, the WWE, I know, tried to get him to lose weight. It just never took. It never worked out. And I remember hearing stories about Yokozuna. I mean, they took him off the road because he was too fat. That's crazy. I mean, that doesn't really happen in professional wrestling, and it killed him. 34. John, I'm 34. Could you imagine dying right now? Like, it's nuts, man. I think about these guys and how young they died, and I'm looking back at a lot of these guys. A lot of them died younger than I am right now. Art Barr died in his 20s. Art Barr died at 28 in 1994. And if you don't know who Art Barr is, well, you know, that's because he died at 28 in 1994. But he was a huge star in professional wrestling who had serious demons, and they took him early in life. Right, Johnny? I mean, those stories just right off the bat, easily done Dark Side of the Ring, right? Do you want to see a Yokozuna Dark Side of the Ring? Do you want to see an Art Barr Dark Side of the Ring? I sure do.
Yeah, those are great suggestions. It's just when we talk about season 3, unfortunately, with a lot of things, it just might be a while because it's going to be hard to put together production because there's going to be more precautions put in place. Plus, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like the producers are in Canada, so you're going to have to wait for the border to open up.
Sure.
They might do the interviews a different kind of style as well. So season 3 is a great idea. It's probably going to happen maybe next year, though, later next year.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, and that's why I think this show is going to be great because we can send out a lot of suggestions, and maybe they can get ideas for what they want to do in the future, maybe some guys that they weren't thinking about, because I think you and I have a wealth of wrestling knowledge, and we know a lot of these stories that some we want to know more about, right? Kurt Hennig. How about Mr. Perfect? Mr. Perfect was 44 years old when he died in 2003 of, you know, a drug overdose. A lot of guys died of drug overdoses. And, you know, Mr. Perfect was a terrible story, man. And there are people you can interview. You can interview his son. Mr. Perfect was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He died at 44. Rick Rude, 40 years old, died in 1999. Ravishing Rick Rude, one of the biggest stars of the 80s and 90s. The only man to ever appear on Monday Night Raw and WCW Nitro in the same night. The same night. How did he do that? Well, Raw was taped the week prior. His contract was done. So then he showed up on Nitro live. And it was crazy. Right? He went from being DX's like guy in the suit to NWO's guy in a suit on the same night somehow. At the same time, I think. It was weird. But Rick Rude, I mean, tell his story, man. Rick Rude was a hell of a man. There's a lot of people out there with Rick Rude stories. A lot of people out there that want to hear more about the Ravishing One. 40 years old. 40. Died in 1999 of another accidental drug overdose. So many. Luna Vachon died the same way. Louis Spicolli died at 27 in 1998. You can tell the Louis Spicolli story. Somebody needs to tell the Louis Spicolli story. Right?
You know what's crazy is that you list off all these names and they're such good ideas. Yet compared to my list, it's like, wow, I didn't even think about these. It just shows you how many tragedies there are in wrestling because we can think of like a bunch of lists, it seems like.
Give me some from yours.
Well, what's great is that I got asked this on Twitter recently by Max Power, at Max Great Power. He asked me, and my number one choice, Brian Pillman.
Yep. I saw Freddie, he's on the chat, and he mentioned Brian Pillman as well. Brian Pillman died, get ready for this, 35 years old in 1997. Now, you see, in 1997, we're kids. So we don't, when they die, we're like, yeah, well, they're kind of like old guys. But now that we're like their age, it's like, no, they're not old guys at all. Like, you're like, because so many wrestlers were dying in the 90s, the late 90s and early 2000s, and we were young, and I felt like we didn't really grasp how young that these guys were when they died. It's shocking now, being their age, to think like, my God, these guys barely lived. Yet they left such a huge mark on the world, such a huge imprint, right? Brian Pillman, the loose cannon, that guy changed the wrestling business. 35 years on this earth, passed away in 1997. Where's his wife now? Do you remember when Vince interviewed his wife like the week after he died on Raw to kind of absolve himself of guilt? That was horrible. Where is she? Where? I mean, we know his son is a wrestler, right? Maybe he doesn't want to say anything bad about Vince at this point, but Flying Brian Pillman Jr. is a wrestler. And one hell of a wrestler, by the way, and looks a lot like his dad. And I'm sure that he would participate in the dark side of the ring about his father, because his father was a serious force in professional wrestling, and his story should be told. 35 years old, died in 1997. The loose cannon Brian Pillman. So many of these guys, Johnny, and that's what kind of got me started, is that so many of these guys died so young, and, you know, most of them because of demons, right? Most of them because of drug and alcohol problems. Well, mostly drug problems, right? Pretty much all of them died because of drug issues. That's dark. You want to talk about dark side of the ring? I'm going to give you the whole list now just so you can take it in about the casualties of the wrestling business. Bam Bam Bigelow, 45, died in 2007. Yokozuna was 34 when he died in 2000. Louis Spicolli was 27 when he died in 98. Buzz Sawyer, a guy who I had no idea about until, you know, maybe 5-10 years ago. He was 32 when he died in 1992. 32. Buzz Sawyer. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He was a badass. Legit. And I've heard a lot of stories about Buzz Sawyer over the years because I've gone and looked for them, because he's a character. I first saw him wrestle. I think it was maybe on a Bret Hart DVD the WWE put out, and I was like, who's this guy? He was awesome. And people have no idea who he is because he died in 1992 when he was 32 years of age. So today's wrestling fan, no clue. But Buzz Sawyer was, god damn, a force. Art Barr, a force in professional wrestling, 28 years old when he died in 94. Mr. Perfect, 44 when he died in 03. Rick Rude was 40 when he died in 1999. Big Boss Man was 41 when he died in 2004. John Tenta, Earthquake, the Shark, was 42 when he died in 2006. Chyna was 46 when she died in 2016. I think you can easily do a two-parter on Chyna. I mean, Chyna...
We finally have one in common now.
Yeah, right? Chyna deserves the dark side of the ring. That seems like an easy one. I've seen a few people suggest Chyna, but I'm not seeing enough people suggest Buzz Sawyer or Art Barr. Like, those are the ones I want to see. I want to see Rick Rude. Give me a ravishing Rick Rude dark side of the ring story. Like, what happened? What happened to Yokozuna that he ate himself to death at the age of 34? What happened? And there are people still alive that have some answers that knew Yoko when he was alive. And I'd like to hear their stories.
It's two different things. Like with Rick Rude, I think it was that injury when he broke his neck, and he just got addicted to painkillers too much, and it just became too much for him.
Yep.
Yoko, yeah, it's the eating problem. He couldn't stop eating.
So you think that's it? There's no documentary there? He's like, what happened to Yokozuna? I just couldn't stop eating. Okay, let's move on. No documentary there. I mean, come on. There's a story there with Yoko, right? You tell the story of his ascent to the top of professional wrestling. How he can move so well at his size. You talk to some family members. And you talk about what really happened there. Because I know that he was sent to weight loss clinics. He was, they tried to get him to lose weight. But it just didn't work. It's weird. I wonder what happened to all these guys that died so young. Thank you to Wally for the super chat. Wally out in Ireland, my man Wally Bird. He says super chat to Johnny for 13 Reasons Why Season 3. So he's excited about that, Johnny. That's the Season 3 Wally's looking forward to.
We're actually on Season 4, actually. It's the last season coming up next Friday.
Okay. There you go. Do you have any other stories on your list, Johnny, for Dark Side of the Ring Season 3?
Oh, yeah, there's quite a bit, actually. I mean, Chris Candido, Lance Cade, the British Bulldogs.
Yes.
Test.
Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith. You could do an episode together. Yeah, Test, of course. He died really young, right? How young was Andrew Martin when he died? That was sad.
I don't know if you remember. Yeah, Test, I think, was in his mid to late 30s, I think.
Crazy.
But I think he only got released from WWE not too long ago, and then he passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Again, demons.
33. He was 33.
Wow. Insane.
My God. He died in 2009 at the age of 33 from Whitby, Ontario. Andrew Test Martin. What happened? The guy was huge. He had the look, the charisma. Test, man.
When we started this discussion on Twitter, someone suggested the Hart family, and I think the Hart family is a great idea. The problem is, can you get everyone to do it, though? And that's a huge thing with a lot of these things. Can you get enough people to talk about it? Because we've seen in the past ones for Dark Side, if you don't interview the right people, sometimes you don't get the whole story, as we saw with the Chris Benoit doc, where they didn't interview Kevin Sullivan, and that story wasn't quite accurate whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, not fully. I don't know. I did hear an interview with Kevin Sullivan after the fact, and he definitely had his own side to tell. It was interesting. How about some other things that have happened in professional wrestling? How about when Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Iron Sheik were arrested together in 1987 with weed and cocaine? You could do a Dark Side of the Ring episode on that. Talk to Hacksaw, maybe talk to Sheiky Baby. I mean, they were supposed to be enemies, right? Hacksaw was Mr. All-America. Sheiky was like Mr. Hate America, Mr. Iran #1, Russia #1, right? And they were in a car together. They weren't supposed to be together. They weren't supposed to be friends. And they certainly weren't supposed to be traveling with weed and cocaine. And in 1987, that was a big no-no. So you could go back and talk about kayfabe and, their characters and how things were back then and interview Hacksaw about it. That's a great story. That's a good Dark Side of the Ring episode that's maybe not as sad as some of the other ones we were talking about.
Oh, I think you could just do a Dark Side on Iron Sheik alone. His career, and even up to now, I think a lot of people would be very interested in it. I think Jim Cornette as well. I think a lot of people would be interested in that.
Why? He's alive and well. What's the problem with Jim Cornette? There's no Dark Side of the Ring on Jim Cornette. He's got some terrible opinions on wrestling and women. God, he's a sexist motherfucker, eh? What is wrong with that guy? I listen to Jim Cornette sometimes. I see some clips on YouTube, and I'm like, geez, man. You really need to update your vocabulary to 2020. Some of the words that he's using is just like, oh, boy, what is happening? What is happening, man? Come on, Cornette. Kentucky is also in the year 2020. You got to move forward. Let's go.
My last choice actually was a federation. I don't know if you remember XPW. It was this little renegade fed in California. They actually invaded the ECW pay-per-view. I believe it was Heatwave 2000. And they were in the crowd. Someone named Black, I think, was the promoter. And he also had a porn industry that he was running at the same time. I think there's a lot they could do with just that fed alone.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that. I don't know too much about that story. I'd like to see a Dark Side of the Ring on that. How about when Arn Anderson stabbed Psycho Sid Vicious? How about that?
You could easily do one on Sid Vicious. Again, his whole career, I mean, that incident right there as well, but just his whole career, Sid Vicious should get one.
I think
just because
that incident's pretty crazy, man. That's one of the craziest things ever. Arn Anderson stabbed Sid Vicious in a hotel for real with a pair of scissors. Arn Anderson, the guy in Cody's corner there, that guy, he stabbed Sid. You remember Psycho Sid? For those that don't know, I mean, I know there are people out there that are like, what? Arn Anderson did what? That kind, friendly old man? Yeah, he stabbed Sid in a drunken fight in England on a WCW European tour. That happened. And do you know why he did it? Because, well, the fight started because they were at a bar and Arn Anderson and Ric Flair were complaining about the business, and they were like, why is the business down? What's wrong with the company? And Sid's like, because there's old men like Ric Flair that won't get the fuck out of the way. And then Arn, like, threw beer in Sid's face, and they got into a whole fight. And then it continued at the hotel. So crazy. Arn Anderson is the enforcer for Ric Flair through and through, right? Like, it's just defending him forever. Wally, by the way, says he says, oops, season 4, another super chat for my mistake. Thank you, Wally. He meant season 4, not season 3, John. So there it is.
It's cool. We'll talk about season 3 and 4 when we do that recap one day of the whole 13 Reasons Why.
You and Wally, not you and me, because I'm not watching that show. I tried to watch that show for you, for the show here. I watched the first season. I somehow got through the first season. It was painful. I did not enjoy that show, and I was like, not going to watch season 2. I think I watched maybe 5 minutes of season 2, and I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. It's too much time that I'm spending watching a terrible show that I hate. And I watch enough WWE, so let's chill on that.
Yeah, don't worry. Me and Wally will do something on Skype or something instead. Don't worry about it. I'll talk about it on the show, though.
The plane ride from hell could be a good Dark Side of the Ring episode, right? When a bunch of WWE people got into all sorts of trouble. I think Mr. Perfect got fired. Wasn't that the plane ride when Mr. Perfect and Brock Lesnar got into like a fight and Brock almost fell out of the plane because the door like came open? Didn't they like smash?
That's the same one.
Right, they smashed against the door, and Undertaker attacked Kurt Angle because he thought Kurt Angle was really beating up Vince McMahon. I think X-Pac may have got some eyebrows shaved or something. I don't know if that was the same plane ride, but maybe that was the time. I think that one was where Michael Hayes got his ponytail cut by maybe X-Pac.
That's correct.
Right? I don't know. A lot of stuff happened on that plane ride from hell. Ric Flair was naked. You know, classic WWE stuff. The plane ride from hell could be told from many different angles. Many different stories were told there. My favorite, though, is Mr. Perfect and Brock Lesnar like wrestling on a plane and it getting so crazy that Brock almost fell out of the plane while it was in the air. Imagine if Brock would have fallen out of an airplane. That's a Dark Side of the Ring right there. My God. Like, it could have easily happened. From my understanding of that story, you know, it was close.
Imagine the whole 2002 WWE roster falling on the plane. That would have been disastrous.
Well, yeah. So that was a crazy one. A lot of people saying Hulk Hogan Dark Side of the Ring. But I may be biased wearing my cool Hollywood Rules shirt. You know where I stand on Hulk Hogan. I'm a Hulkamaniac. I feel like Terry's taken enough. Can we leave Terry alone? Do we need to go and dig up some things that Hulk Hogan's done? I mean, what has he really done? What's Terry really done?
He's done a lot of horrible things, actually.
Pastamania?
The problem is, I think a lot of people...
Wasn't there...
Pastamania.
Pastamania, I know that there were some allegations about Hulk Hogan doing some improper things around Pastamania, maybe with women. There were allegations back then. Maybe you could revisit that, Pastamania, and everything that Hulk Hogan has done throughout his career, possibly. I mean, the Bubba the Love Sponge thing and the racist remarks, I guess if you wanted to go there, but I don't know. I feel bad for Hulk Hogan for some reason. I don't know why. He just seems like the guy, He's given so much to the wrestling business, you know? Like, the guy can barely stand up in the morning. He said on Steve Austin's podcast it takes him like 2 hours to be able to stand upright in the morning because his back is so messed up from everything. He's got no hips. You know, he used to be 6'7". He's now 6'3". You know, like, what happened, right? His spine's been compressed. Like, Hogan has put himself through everything. And apparently he was going to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal at WrestleMania this year if they had it in a stadium with a crowd, which is nuts. But he's just been through enough.
Yeah, who's saying that, though? Is Hogan saying that?
No, I don't think it was Hogan. I thought it was Meltzer, wasn't it?
I didn't hear that whatsoever, so I questioned that completely.
I'm pretty sure that was Meltzer that reported that. I can check on that. I'll double check.
Hogan says a lot of things, and doesn't mean they're all true. Because Hogan, like a lot of people, like Dana White, Hogan lies to get his way.
Yeah, Hogan
it's that part of a Hulkamania.
Definitely lies, but I know the story was that the plans were changed.
Well, obviously the plans are changed. I mean, we didn't even have the damn match, so yeah, of course.
I don't know. There's a rumor that Hogan was supposed to win, but they couldn't agree to terms on the money. So that doesn't sound like a story that would come out of Hogan. And Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer did say that WWE were in talks with Hogan to have him appear at WrestleMania for some sort of deal. So I believe it. He could have come in, not taken any bumps, punched people out of the ring, and won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Why not? It's Hulk Hogan. Come on, brother. It was in Tampa, too, you know? That's Hogan's hometown. That makes sense. I buy that.
The appearance, yeah, just to be in a Battle Royal. It's not like you just come in. It's not like a Royal Rumble. You can't just come in at the end and throw people out. You have to actually be in there from start to finish.
So?
I'd be surprised if Hogan did that.
He could just stand in the corner. I wouldn't be surprised. I could see him do it. He would definitely do it. But apparently they couldn't come to terms. Anyways, they weren't going to do it because there was no stadium. So forget it. Maybe next year. We can hope, right? We can hope. But do you want to see a Hulk Hogan Dark Side of the Ring? A lot of people have been calling for it. I don't want to see it. I don't need to.
I wouldn't mind it, but it's just like, give me something new, and I feel like I've heard it all already. So if they get something new, sure, but I don't know if you can, because I think it's all been said.
You could do the Perro Aguayo Jr. in-ring death that happened in 2015 in Mexico. That's pretty dark. He died in the ring. Perro Aguayo Jr., right?
Well, there's a lot of people that died in the ring, unfortunately. I feel like it was a lot in Mexico, unfortunately, as well.
How about Yoshiko assaulting Act Yasukawa in a Stardom title match in the main event of a Korakuen Hall show in 2015? It was a match that was supposed to be for the title that turned into a shoot, and Act Yasukawa was beaten beyond recognition in that. Have you ever seen that?
No, I've never heard of that whatsoever.
You've never heard of that? You don't know about what I'm talking about? Go look that up. See, there are stories that you don't know, stories that I'm sure a lot of people don't know, that Dark Side of the Ring could explore, and why all of that happened. I would like to know more details on that, but that was when wrestling goes way too real, it got crazy. Yoshiko was upset with Yasukawa, and she assaulted her in a real way during that match. It's super violent. Like, I'm warning you, if you are going to look it up on YouTube, just be warned. It is really violent, it's really bloody, and it's disturbing. It's disturbing. It's dark. You want to talk about dark? I mean, it was super dark. It was not cool.
Just a quick mention. Ben Deuce mentioned on Twitter Mike Awesome. I think that would be a very good pick, because I don't think a lot of people know about that. I mean, I know he committed suicide, but like his final days and what led up to it, that could be very interesting.
42 years of age, passed away in 2007. How about Chris Kanyon?
Yeah, Canyon's another one. I definitely think they're probably going to do one in Kanyon. Again, it's just who they can talk to. I mean, DDP for sure is probably going to be one of the guys talked to, but they're going to need more people that are more closer to Kanyon, with family members.
Who better than Kanyon? That's my question to you. Who better than Kanyon? Remember that catchphrase? I loved Kanyon. Kanyon was awesome. He was a real innovator of offense, right? That's what they said about him, and it was true, right? That's what Mike Tenay used to always say about Chris Kanyon. He's like, his offense is so innovative, and it was cool. He did, like, moves that you never really seen before. Kanyon was awesome.
Yeah, Kanyon was great. A great wrestler. It's just too bad in WWE they just didn't find a place for him after a while. They had a use for him, and they just ran out of a use, unfortunately. And I just don't think he could bounce back after that.
Yeah. It's too bad. I think there are a lot of stories that you could tell as far as Dark Side of the Ring, and that's kind of the sad part about pro wrestling. When I started to think about, ideas for what they could do, I came up with like 20 ideas. Because there are a lot of stories, and I didn't even
20
come
more.
Up, yeah, and we could come up with 20 more. That's the problem. That's the problem with the wrestling business. It's super dangerous inside and outside. You got to be real careful. Sensational Sherry Martel. That's a story you could tell. She died young.
Yeah, for sure.
Demons, a legend of the wrestling business, a pioneer in women's wrestling. Sherry Martel, Sensational Sherry. I mean, if you watched wrestling in the 90s, the 80s, you know who Sensational Sherry is. WWE Hall of Famer. Her acceptance speech at the Hall of Fame was one of my favorites ever, too. She looked like she embarrassed a lot of guys. It was funny, Booker T and Shawn Michaels, because she was older than Booker and Shawn when she was managing them, and she kind of had a hand in really molding them as superstars. I don't think the Shawn Michaels Heartbreak Kid character would have been anywhere near as over as it became without Sherry. Shawn benefited so much from Sherry. Sherry really gave a lot of herself to Shawn. Do you remember what Shawn used to do to Sherry during the entrance? Do you remember what the pose was in the ring?
Not exactly, no. I just remember they posed together.
Shawn used to grab her by the hair and just whip her down to the mat, and she would, smile and take it like she loved it. It was fucking horrifying. You don't remember that? I remember watching that as a kid and being like, what the fuck is this? No? You have no recollection of that?
I wasn't the biggest Shawn Michaels fan in the world, so I wasn't big on watching Shawn Michaels come on wrestle. I didn't mind him getting his ass kicked by Bret Hart all the time. But his flamboyancy wasn't a big thing for me back in the day.
I was into it. I thought Shawn, the Sherry character with Shawn, I really liked the Heartbreak Kid. I had no problem with him turning on Marty Jannetty and everything. I'm trying to find a video of Shawn slamming Sherry down to the mat, but I don't think he did it every time. But I definitely remember him doing it and being like, what? What was that?
I wouldn't be surprised. Shawn was that kind of guy just to get himself over. He'd do whatever it takes kind of thing.
That's it. It was
he buried people too.
Yeah. It was, of course. Shawn, you could do a Dark Side of the Ring on Shawn Michaels, right?
If you think about it, you could really do a dark side almost any wrestler if you think about it from the 90s.
Yeah? I mean, Sherry would hold the ropes open for Shawn. I'm watching the entrance right now. I don't think I could show this on our show. We'll probably get pulled from YouTube. She's holding the ropes open, and then Shawn is posing in the ring, and Sherry's, touching on him, standing behind him. She takes his jacket off. He gives her the glasses. I mean, Shawn is such a heel back then. The Shawn Michaels with Sensational Sherry character was so good, and she was such a big part of that. Oh, my goodness. He's putting the glasses, his earrings in her, bra. Shawn Michaels. And this is 1991, 1992 he's doing this stuff. It was, really over the top. Sherry Sherry was great.
Kind of normal. I mean, you see Macho Man, he'd yell at Elizabeth and grab her by the hand forcefully. They kind of let a lot of things go back then.
Yeah, you kind of see the way women were treated in the 80s in the WWE, and it's just it's shocking. It's not even oh, this is goofy or this is embarrassing. It's just oh my God, what? Even the 90s, the way kind of Jerry Lawler would talk about everybody. you kind of listen back to those and you're like, oh yeah, that was really nuts. That was crazy. Yeah, times have changed.
Well, it was all done
It's a good thing. It's a good thing that we're not there anymore.
in the 90s. It was done more in a playful way. You know, it was done like, oh my goodness, that happened, haha, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess. But looking back, nothing playful about that, right? It's kind of awful. Some of the stuff that they did. Some of the stuff that Jerry Lawler was saying. I mean, come on. Let's be honest here, John. It's not good.
Well, he's still got a job, so he's not doing all that bad if you think about it. He can make fun of Tozawa and still be on TV.
Yes. Are you surprised that they didn't take him off TV after that comment?
Well, Samoa Joe's there now, so who knows if we're going to see Lawler back.
Where's the Jerry Lawler dark side of the ring?
Again, you're going to need people to talk about it, and I doubt a lot of people want to talk about that. I think a lot of people want to praise Lawler because he did a lot of great things in wrestling.
You don't think you could find any of those girls that are all grown up now to talk about Jerry?
It's one-sided, though. It's like, yeah, I mean, everyone has their dark side, but there's also a good side, too.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're not a monster. I mean, there was a good side to Bill Cosby, but he's rotting in jail right now. As he should be, right? Just because you do good things doesn't mean it can outweigh the horrific things that you do. You can't just, it doesn't work like that. You know that. It's not how it works, man.
Well, you're talking about alleged stuff, too, so, I mean, you can say whatever you want about alleged stuff.
No, it's alleged stuff with Jerry Lawler and, with underage girls and things like that. And, that's all we can really say about it. It's just there's a story there, and I'm sure that there are people that could tell that story. Pat Patterson. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, we're gonna talk about dark side for Pat Patterson too. Yeah, I'm sure there'd be one for that too. But again, a lot of that's alleged.
Lot of accusations over the years about Pat Patterson. Has anybody really investigated that thoroughly? I'll wait.
I think Pat's too respected in wrestling that no one really went into it. And if you've met Pat, which I've met Pat, he's really a nice guy. So, I don't think a lot of people are pushed to do that because he doesn't come off like a.
Wasn't that friendly to me?
Not to you, no. Oh well.
No, so let's do a dark side of the ring on Pat Patterson. How about that? Okay, how about that? Let's see what's there. Let's shake the trees and see if any branches come out. Maybe we'll get a leaf or an item. I've been playing too much Animal Crossing. My point is, Pat Patterson, there have been allegations over the years, and maybe there's something there. Maybe there isn't. It was just allegations about Jimmy Snuka. I mean, he went to trial, but nothing ever came of it. They did a dark side of the ring on him. There are people that I'm sure have stories to tell about Pat Patterson. Are they true or not? I don't know. But there definitely have been allegations over the years. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. Actually, when there's smoke, there's usually fire, right? I mean, well, not always, I guess. Sometimes there's just smoke, but where's the smoke coming from, John? Where's the smoke coming from? There was a fire at some point.
Yeah, a lot of people usually die when there's a fire, so yeah, you want to stay away from that. Stay away from the smoke. No smoke.
Fires are bad. Saw a lot of fires on TV last night. My God. Stay safe, everybody. Stay safe.
Social distancing.
Social distancing, for sure. But all of our friends out in the United States right now, I know there's a lot of turmoil going on in the United States, and I know we have a lot of viewers and listeners out there. Reminding you guys all to stay safe. Stay indoors, I think, is the best case scenario right now for everybody. Not just with coronavirus, but with all the protesting and everything going on outside in the United States. It's kind of wild what's happening out there. It's pretty disheartening to see. Sad. Sad stuff. I don't like to see that stuff. It's bad. It's a real bad scene. It's America, man. I just want all all our friends to stay safe out there, all right? It's a dangerous world. Seems like it's getting more dangerous by the day. So be safe, lift weights, practice your shadow boxing, train jiu-jitsu, prepare yourself because it's a dangerous world out there, right, Johnny? Look at Johnny. He's prepared. No one's messing with Big Johnny.
I live in my little box, as everyone can see, and only I stay in my little box. So, yeah, that kind of works like that. But
That's
for
right.
other people, it's different. In the States, they're reopening a lot of places. I think a lot of gyms are opening there on Monday. Here, we'll probably be lucky if we see it in September, apparently. So it's a totally different scenario, apparently, in Canada and the States.
Is that really the deal, that we're not going to have a gym open until September? A lot of gyms are going to go under, man. That sucks.
Well, I was told from someone who knows someone who works at the gym that I go to. They said, look, they're looking at September and with appointments only.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's going to be rough.
Jeez.
Thankfully, I got my own little gym coming in, so I got my Olympic bar. Just got to wait for my bench to come in, because that's the way you got to do it now. You got to have your own gym, pretty much. Your home gym has to become much more complex, because I don't know if you can expect the gyms to open up around here and be anywhere close to as good as it used to be.
So, John, you need stuff. You're looking for stuff. You got
Oh, I've got stuff coming. Don't worry, I'm good.
What do you have?
Yeah, I got a bench coming in. I got weight plates coming in.
Yeah.
So everything's gonna be great. Yeah, it'll be fantastic with that.
Sick.
I mean, still limited, but I'll be okay. A lot of weight plates. So.
Yeah. What did you get? I'm fascinated. I like this stuff. What'd you get?
Just like 445 plates. That's it.
Oh, that's good. You can get a solid. Man, the mailman's gonna be pissed delivering that to you. I'll tell you.
Yeah, probably, but it's okay. They'll survive.
Right? Well, that's good. When do you expect that stuff to come in? Because I'm still waiting on stuff. It takes forever, right?
Yeah, everything takes forever. I ordered a face mask, and they told me like June 30th, so a lot of things are taking forever.
Wow.
I'm expecting that hopefully by mid-June.
What kind of face mask did you order?
One of those like reusable ones.
Oh,
the
okay.
usual like black one, the Bane kind of. I think you had one back in the day, or originally you had one.
Okay, just typical mask.
Yeah, typical ones. Yeah.
I think Lauren wants to know where you ordered the stuff from. Like, where'd you order your gear?
Oh, I ordered everything off Amazon, but that's the problem now too. Like, if you didn't order already, then everything's sold out. So you have to like be on that almost every day, and then hope you can get something good as well, because they're price gouging like crazy. It's terrible right now.
Yeah, that's why before this thing started, just as it was beginning, I was like, all right, I got to get ready because I know businesses are going to start closing. Before they started closing, I went to Walmart and I bought a bunch of mats, right? Like a bunch of mats, because I knew. I was like, people eventually going to figure out that they need these things and they're going to sell out. So I just bought tons of mats so my whole living room could just be one jiu-jitsu studio. And when we start opening up the bubble, I'm going to bring my brother over here. We're going to resume our jiu-jitsu training. I'm not getting too close to him now, but we're getting there. We're getting closer to getting closer, right? So I'm going to start rolling jiu-jitsu again soon, which I'm so excited about because I need, man, it's been rough, man. It's been rough not getting the usual activity, but that's it, man. You got to prepare, and you got to be able to do it from home. You got to be able to get your workout in at home. You need that stuff. So I got the mats because I needed my mats. I was like, what do I need? I don't need weights. I have weights. I've got medicine balls. I've got a huge grappling dummy. I just needed some mats so I could, have some good space, and I got that. So now we're ready to roll, as they say.
Well, that's going to be great because, yeah, for you, I don't know, it might be even longer. Who knows with those kind of gyms? And again, the restrictions. Who knows what the restrictions are going to be like? So it might open, but it might not open to your liking. So, yeah, you have to pretty much get your own little home setup.
That's it. For those of us that'll have a training partner that's accessible, that's in our social bubble, we'll be doing all right. When things start opening back up, I feel like I'm going to be sharper than a lot of guys that'll be sitting on the couch with no training partner. So I'm trying to get an advantage, trying to get the advantage everywhere I can, right? And, I really I can't wait to roll again. That's the thing that has upset me the most about this whole thing is the lack of jiu-jitsu. That's really my main complaint about this. I don't mind staying at home. We do a lot of, I have to watch a lot of wrestling, a lot of MMA, so I have to spend a lot of time, watching TV, so I'm all right with that. But I really miss jiu-jitsu, We do these shows. I'm at home right now in the home studio, but, man, the fun of jiu-jitsu, the camaraderie of jiu-jitsu, just doing it, the sport of it, I miss it so much. And I hope that I'll be able to do it again and get my brother over here and I could start rolling again. But, I want jiu-jitsu to be out to the masses again, and I don't know when that's going to happen. So I'm worried about the future of jiu-jitsu, at least for the time being, in the next, 6 months to a year, because it doesn't seem like we're going to get back to real jiu-jitsu for a while, and that's scary. Although they're protesting in the States, and that's what I don't understand. I understand why they're protesting, believe me. I would be tempted to protest there too, and I'm not a protester, but what's happening over there is pretty shocking. But at the same time, it's there's a lot of people grouped in Are they all going to get coronavirus? I don't understand what's happening, Johnny North. I don't know the rules. It's very confusing.
Well, again, we can just do what we can at this point. If you can social distance, and that's it. If you can stay home, stay home. And if you have to be out, just use as much precaution as you can.
Wear a mask if you can. Wear appropriate. Wash your hands. Stay safe. Don't touch your face. And keep watching Dave and Johnny Live, Wrestling Uncensored, and Ringside Report. Keep watching. Go to ringsidereport.net. That's the place to be. Hey, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and when you subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications every time that we're on. We're going to be back here tomorrow morning for Wrestling Uncensored, where we will talk about Mike Tyson in All Elite Wrestling and whether or not he's going to have a match with Chris Jericho. We'll also talk about AEW's next event, Fyter Fest, that doesn't actually have a scheduled date, which is super weird, because their event after that, I think All Out, they announced for September 3rd. So it's okay, our next show is Fyter Fest. We don't know when that's going to be, but All Out is going to be September 3rd. It's well, why can't you just set a date for your next big pay-per-view? Whatever, dude. And then, of course, your house.
There's a reason behind that, though.
What? What's the reason?
Because, the Fyter Fest, it's more like a convention, isn't it? Like a video game convention, and they just happen to have a wrestling show there. So it's not really a pay-per-view. I don't believe it was a pay-per-view last year. I think it was a free event. So I think that's the reason, is they don't know how this is going to be organized whatsoever at this point and where it can be organized, because originally it was supposed to happen in London.
Right. So they just don't know where it's going to be, and that's why they haven't announced a location or date, because they don't know?
That's pretty much it, and how it's going to be all set up. So, yeah. I mean, obviously you would think Florida, but is Florida the end-all be-all right now? Hopefully not. So maybe they're trying somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Hopefully they get a date soon. We're going to talk about all that stuff. I'm seeing Bob Cote saying rioting is not protesting. I'm seeing that on the chat. And I do agree with that to a certain extent. And I think, some of these protests maybe did get a little bit out of hand. There was a lot of rioting. There was, burning of stores and businesses that didn't deserve it, right? And I think when you do that, you're just antagonizing people, and you're taking it a step too far. At the same time, when peaceful protests don't work, sometimes you have to take it a step further. So I'm torn on that. I think, definitely things go too far, and you shouldn't be burning businesses like that really, it's not their fault. They have nothing to do with it. But at the same time, things are pretty ugly out there. I don't want to get into a whole discussion about it. It's just awful. I think we can all agree that what is happening is bad, right? Like, I think that's enough. Like, we should all just say, hey, cops probably shouldn't just be killing people, and people shouldn't just be burning businesses that have nothing to do with it, because that hurts them. You know, it's not good for anybody, but people definitely should protest when things are unjust. And what I saw there, unfortunately, I watched some of the video. I couldn't watch the whole thing because I knew what was going to happen to the guy. That shit was awful, John. I don't know if you saw that, but that video was pretty awful.
I saw little clips here and there on Twitter, and I think he's kind of right, though. There's a difference between protesting and rioting.
Sure.
Rioting, I don't think a lot of good could come from that. Protesting, I get it, and I understand why people think they have to go the next step further. However, you take that next step, you're hurting a lot of people, and I don't think you're doing more harm than good, in my opinion.
Yep, I think you have a good point there. I really do. It's just sad, man. Everything that's going on is sad. I don't know why they didn't arrest that cop. Like, what happened? Why has that guy not been arrested? It's clear that he, seems like he did some real harm to that guy that died. I mean, if the cop didn't kill him, what did? So, I don't know, man. It was pretty ugly. I didn't want to talk about that on the show, but it just went there for some reason. I just want everybody to stay safe, want everybody to be cool. We're going to talk about cool things like pro wrestling and Mike Tyson and Henry Cejudo and Vitor Belfort and Rashad Evans. And who was that guy with the face paint, John? Do you have any idea who that guy was? Who was the guy? He's
if you don't know, how am I supposed to know? I thought you knew all the guys.
He's not an MMA fighter. I have no idea who that guy was. I don't know who Face Paint Man was, and I don't know who Bottle Man was. There was a man with a bottle standing next to Face Paint Guy. I had no idea who he was. I knew Vitor, I knew Rashad, I knew Cejudo, I knew Mike. I didn't know anybody else. It was super weird. Super weird. We'll talk about it. We'll also talk about the WWE and everything going on in there. Apollo Crews won a title this week, and I like it. I like it. And Freddie says that the other topics, that'll be a show for him. And Freddie and I were talking about it earlier. Freddie has all sorts of conspiracy theories. We are thinking about launching a show called Conspiracy Theories with Fred. I don't know if I want to host it because I think I would just get so confused. Maybe Johnny can host it. Maybe you and Fred do a show that I'm not involved in. How about that? How about a show on the Ringside Report Network that I'm not on? How about that? That would be fun. I could be a guest once in a while. I'd like that. A show on the Ringside Report Network that I'm not on. That's what I want to do. I heard an interview yesterday that Fred sent me from that guy Dan Lebitard, and it was like branded as Dan Lebitard. It was like the Dan Lebitard Show, all this stuff. But Dan Lebitard wasn't on the interview. It was like some other guy who works on Dan Lebitard's show doing all the work, but it seemed like Dan Lebitard was getting all the credit. That's what I want. I want that type of life. I want the Ringside Report Network. I want Dave Simon Productions getting all the credit. But I want you and Fred doing the work for me. I'm sick of doing all the heavy lifting on these shows, Johnny. It's time for you and Fred and AJ to start doing shows together that I'm not involved in. And then I want to take all the credit and benefit off of it. All right? Can we do that?
Well, as long as I complain like I always do to you, yeah, sure, it's no problem.
What do you mean? Why are you complaining to me? I'm not on the show. You can't complain to me. You'd have to complain to Fred.
No, well, you're the head of everything, so I can complain to you. If I have grievances, you're my grievance complaint manager.
Ooh. Well, that would be a whole nother thing. And you having grievances with like Fred and AJ, that would be fantastic. I would love that. I would love for you and AJ and Fred to have different grievances, and then we could air them out on the show, and that would be great. Right now, you guys get along way too well. Beef, conflict, Controversy creates cash, Johnny North, all right? That's what Eric Bischoff said, and that's a fact. So get on that. I want you to start working directly with AJ on a show so you can see how that works.
Well, we kind of already did that in the past, so I'm sure I have a good idea of how that would work. You just have to let us actually run the show.
Yeah, sure. Do whatever you want. But I like Conspiracies with Fred, hosted by Johnny North, and then I'm a guest once in a while. But very, very seldom do I show up. I like that. Maybe we'll do that. Okay?
Yeah, sounds great. Let's do it.
Okay, thanks everybody for watching. Stay tuned for more Wrestling Uncensored. We'll be on tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. right here on the YouTube channel. Go to ringsidereport.net. If you missed Ringside Report MMA last night, we talked about Conor McGregor, and I told you why he is not even in the discussion for greatest fighters of all time. AJ disagreed with me strongly. Go check out that discussion right now on our YouTube channel right here, the ringsidereport.net YouTube channel. Go to ringsidereport.net for more on that. Follow Johnny at North Genesis, at Genesis Johnny North on Instagram. Follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. Thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you to Wally Byrne out in Ireland for the Super Chat. We appreciate you, Wally. We love you, my man. Supporting the channel, supporting Ringside Report Network. Andy Burrows, Freddie Garcia, Bob Cote, AJ D'Alessio, Woods MMA UK. Who else was on the chat today? A lot of people. Lauren Cronish. So many people that were on. Bob Cote. Everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here with us. For Johnny, I'm Dave. This has been Dave and Johnny live.